Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to integrate Firebase Google sign-in using credential manager in Godot game. So we will be creating an Android plugin for that. I have already made a video on how to integrate Google sign-in with credential manager without Firebase. So if you are interested, you can watch that. This video will be using Firebase. We will be doing Google sign-in using credential manager. So let's get started. At the time of me recording this video, I'm using Godot 4.3. so Godot 4.3 was just released and I'm making a video. This tutorial is made using that. So let's get started. So anyways, so firstly what you will have to do is, given that we are creating an Android plugin, obviously you will need to have the Android Studio, Java and all that setup. I'm not going to go through that. So firstly, just open Android Studio and create an Android project. It can be an empty views project or a Jetpack Compose project, doesn't really matter. So here you can see I have created one project. I am using the empty views project, but choose whatever makes sense to you. Just create an Android project. Okay, once you create an Android project, open Godot 4.3 and create a Godot project or whatever version of Godot you are using, because this will work in Godot 4.2 as well. But in Godot 4.2 there would be a little bit of I would say little bit changes which I will I might show it to you. Let's see. But I'm using Godot 4.3. make sure you are at least using Godot 4.3 and above, and I think you will be fine. So here just create one Godot project. So I have created that. Next thing what you will have to do is go to project, install Android build template. I have already done that, that's why it is showing to me something like this. But there, at least at the time of me recording this video, there is some issue. So I have opened this particular issue with the Godot repository. So the issue is that, so here you can see I'm trying to click on project, install Android build template, I'm clicking on manage template, and here you can see that whenever I try to download and install, I get this error. I think by the time you watch it, this will get resolved. I'm not really sure, but I did find one workaround. So here you can see I'm also trying this second option as well as the third option. It is still failing for me. So this guy helped me with that. There is this open in web browser option as well. So if I just scroll to this video a little, here you can see this 3 dots. Just click on this 3 dots and here you will see this open in web browser option, and with that you can download the template as well. With that also I was getting some error, so I was able to download the template, then I was getting this error, but I finally found a fix for this. Hopefully you should not have to do this open in web browser. Most probably you just have to select one of this best available mirror, just click on download and install, and I think it should work for you. But in case if it doesn't work for you, you might find this option. This was working perfectly fine in Godot 4.2, but I think they broke it in Godot 4.3. but anyways, they might fix it. So once this is installed, so as you can see I have already installed that, then you will have to go to project, click on export. Okay, and here you will have to click on add Android. I have already done that. So next, here you should check this use Gradle build option. I'll just disable this. You check this use Gradle build option. Here inside architecture you will have to select what device your Android device architecture is. In case if you don't know, select all 4 of this. Once that is done, the important part is you will have to give a unique name, like a unique package name to your Android application. So here I have given it something like this. Now this should be something like com.yourcompany.name.your app name. So I've given it something like this. Okay, change it to whatever makes sense to you, but make a note of this because we will be using this in Firebase. That's why I had told you to create an Godot project first. That's it. Okay, then also at the bottom, if you are seeing some error, you might see a fix import button. Just click on it and that issue might get resolved for you. Okay, and just make a note of this unique package name. So I've just copied it. Now I will just close this, go to Firebase console. I will create a new project. So give it some name, whatever makes sense to you. My first project. Okay, and I'll click on continue. I don't want Google Analytics. I'll just click on create project. Okay, by the time this is getting initialized, go back to your Android project, go to the project drop down, they open this project and go to the Android drop down, and here inside your app you will have to right click, new module, select Android library, give it whatever name you feel like. I have given it as my library, so as you can see I've already created it, that's why it is not allowing me to create again. And you can change the package name to whatever makes sense to you, and then just click on finish. I have already done that. Now again the Gradle thing will take a little bit of time, so again we'll come back to Firebase. So our Firebase initialization is done. Click continue. Then we'll just click on Android, then just a second, editor, okay. Then I'll just go to write your package name which you have added it inside your Godot project, okay, not inside your Android Studios, Android plugin or Android project. It should be your Godot project package name which we had enter inside export. So over here this unique package name, that's what I have entered. Okay, then enter this, give it your app some nickname. Now you will have to generate the SHA-1 certificate. Now so for showing the output I will show you with the help of debug key. So there are two things in Android, debug key and release key. So to generate the SHA-1 certificate for debug key, you will have to run a command like this. So typically your debug key would be stored inside this particular folder if you are on macOS. I don't know about Windows, you might have to Google it for it. So the command is something like this, should be your path of your debug key, and for debug key this alias name, the store password and the key password are same, so you don't have to worry about it. If you are deploying this app to Google Play Store, then you will again have to generate your SHA-1 certificate and update it to Firebase. So for that you will have to change this key store to wherever your release key store is located. You will have to change this alias name, the store password name, as well as the key password name. Okay, so just run this command. I think I have already ran this command. Yeah, so I've already ran this command and I have this particular SHA-1 which I will copy it and I'll paste it over here. Just click on register app. Then do not download this Google services.json file. I will tell you why we should not download it from here later on. Then click on next. Then we have to add this bit of code, so just copy this code, go to your Android project, and here you will have to go to this build.gradle.kts and you will have to paste it over here. Again the version might have changed a little by the time you are watching this. Okay, just paste it here. Then we don't need to copy this because this is already present. So then you will have to open this build.gradle of your library. Don't get confused with the app, open of your library. Okay, so here you can so we really don't need this. Do not copy this, otherwise again you will get error. Just copy this one, com.google.gms.google services. So and I have pasted it over here, as you can see. Alright, so the next step is we have to add this Firebase bomb dependency. So just copy it and paste it over here. So now this might look a little bit different for you because while copying it also has this version number and all that stuff, but I'm making use of something called this library version catalog. So the version number and the version name has been moved it to this particular file, which I will show you shortly. But for now what you can do is just copy this, something like this, okay, and copy this as well, Firebase auth, because we will be requiring Firebase auth dependency. Firebase auth we don't require any version number because we are making use of bill of materials dependency, that's why. Also you will have to add this Godot dependency, which I will show you shortly. I'm using Godot 4.3.0 stable, so it should match to whatever Godot version, Godot engine you are using. So I'm using this Godot 4.3.0, so this Android plugin should also target Godot 4.3.0. just copy this for now, okay, and also copy all these four. So these are part of the credential manager, so just copy paste it. Once you copy paste it, go to libs.versions.toml, then add all this stuff. Okay, so you can just copy paste all this stuff Here firstly change this Firebase bomb version to whatever you see over here. So at the time of me recording it is 33.1.2, so just change it over here. Okay, and Godot version I am using 4.3.0 stables, but if you are using some other version you can go to Maven's Central and find the latest version of Godot. So make sure you change that particular version if you are using some other version of Godot engine. So add this bit of code, as well as you will have to add this bit of code. Then you also need to add this bit. So here you can see we are actually using the proper name of our module, and then you also have to add this 5 lines of code as well. So make sure you add this. So here it is. Okay, so if you want you can pause the video. Also, if there are some higher version available for Play Services auth and Google ID and credential Play Service, make sure you use that. Use always the latest stable version. Okay, once that is done, then you can just click on sync now. You might be seeing a button called sync now. Just click on it here, somewhere over here, and it will download all the dependencies for you. Then just click on next, and we will click on continue to console. Then okay, so our Android project has been added to Firebase. Then you will have to go to project, you will have to go to build, go to authentication, and here you just click on get started. Here you will have to select Google, enable this. Here this should be your public facing name, so whatever name you want to display it to your user, most probably it should be your Godot app name or game name. So change it to whatever you feel like. I'll just keep it as default, and here I'll just select my Google ID. Don't worry about this, we don't need to fill this whitelist client ID or web SDK configuration. Just click on save. That's it. Okay, now given that we have enabled Google sign in, then we have to download the Google services.json file. So I told you previously, right? Ignore this error because I am using the same package name as well as this client as well as this SHA-1 certificate in some other Firebase project as well. That's why it was showing me an error. Ignore that, you won't get it. So once this Google sign in is enabled, then we should download the Google services.json file, because that would be an updated Google services.json file. So for that, go to project settings, and here you will have to select your app, Android app. If there are multiple apps you have added, select the proper one based on the package name, and just you will have to click on this Google's download. So it will download the Google services.json file. Okay, so just download this file. So as you can see over here, this is my Google services.json file. So again we'll go back to our Android project. So I have shown you this. Okay, and here, okay, I'll come back to this later on. I have shown you this as well, and I have shown you this as well. Okay, so again go open your project, and here inside your library, create inside Kotlin plus Java, on inside the first folder, create a Kotlin file called Godot Android plugin. Okay, and here firstly you will have to add all this imports. So just pause the video and add all this imports. Then we are extending from lifecycle owner because we want to make use of Kotlin coroutines. Then we have to use this lifecycle registry. We have to initialize it. Click handle lifecycle event. So this is boilerplate code which we have to write. Don't worry too much about it. And here I have given it my plugin name. So this is my plugin name. Choose whatever makes sense to you, but do remember this name. Then we are overriding this on Godot setup completed method. So given that we were extending Godot plugin, so we are overriding this on Godot setup completed method. And here all these values you will have to change. So from where do you will get this value? So first the application ID. So go to your Google services.json file. So this is your application ID which you see over here. Okay, yeah, then we require the API key. So for that, where is the API key? So here is your API key. So just copy it and paste it over here. Then your project ID. So here is our project ID, and then last is the storage bucket ID. Storage bucket ID, so which I have copy pasted it from here. Okay, so copy paste it according to your Google services.json file, and here we are initializing our Firebase app. Given that this is a plugin, we can't drag and drop the Google services.json file inside our project. That won't work. Then I have defined a method called sign in. and here we are over. I will come back to the sign in method later on. So this sign in method will be called from Godot side, that's why we are annotating with @ used by Godot. And here we are creating this get plug, overriding this get plugin signal. So whenever I want to send some data, I will make use of this particular signal. If you want, you can create multiple signal as well, but for now I have just created one signal. I have also created one logout function. So to log out, you can just use firebase.auth.signout. Okay, and to get a user, so suppose I have opened the app, I have signed in, then I close the app, then after some time I have reopened the app again. So to maintain the login session, you can use something like this, firebase auth.current user, and check whether it is null or not. I am just sending the email back to the Godot side, but you can play around with this and build your own logic depending on that. So if it is if this is null, that means the user is not signed in, so you can display the login screen to the user. Otherwise you can redirect to the whatever is your dashboard screen or your game or whatever it is. You don't need to display the login screen. Okay, so coming back to the sign in functionality, so firstly we have to create this Google ID option. Make sure you may mark this as false, and this server side client ID you will get it from here. So this is your server side client ID. Okay, I think this one, right? This one, yeah, both are same. So this client ID and this client ID are same. So make sure you check this client ID. If you're not able to see this client ID, that means you have not downloaded the Google services.json file, updated one, after enabling the Google sign in option. That's why I told you to download it later. So yeah, this is the client ID which I have just copy pasted it over here. Then we just create one request. We get hold of our credential manager, we'll launch a coroutine. Then we just call this get credential method, and from that we get the actual credential. And if the credential is of type custom credential or type Google ID token credential, then we just get the Google ID token credential. We pass the ID token to our Google auth provider.get credential, and then we just pass that Firebase credential to firebase.auth.sign-in with credential and await for it. And then we get the user, and I'm just passing the display name and UID. But if you want, there are a lot of properties on this, but if you want, you can also get the user email. Most of you might be interested in user email itself. So user dot here you can see email. There are a lot of other properties as well. So this can be null, that's why we are using this question mark. And in case of error, I'm just logging it to the console, but again you can send a signal just like this back to the Godot side. So that's it. Now coming back to Android manifest.xml. so here you can see I'm using this internet permission, and this has been copied from the Godot side. The only change is this should be your plugin name. So as you can see over here, in case if you forgot, so this is my plugin name, so that's what I have used over here. And this should be your package name. So again, in case if you forgot, this is your package name, so you can just copy paste it, and followed by this Kotlin file name, Godot Android plugin. That's what I have written over here. Okay, let's see what's the next step is. So I've just created one cheat sheet for myself. Okay, so then you will have to again open this project, go to the project drop down, go to your library, create a folder called export scripts template. Inside that, create a file called plugin.cfg. again I have just copy pasted it from docs. Be careful, make sure you don't do any typos, otherwise you can refer the Godot documentation for copy pasting it. So just create this file, then create an export underscore plugin.cfg. again this has been copied from the Godot documentation. Only thing which you have to change is two things. So first is your plugin name, so this should be changed, and this is the get Android dependency. So these are the bunch of dependencies which we had added inside our build.gradle. Godot needs to know about this dependency, that's why we have added this dependency over here. Now the reason I was mentioning to you like use Godot 4.3 is because if you are still stuck on Godot 4.2, then it uses an older version of Kotlin, I think Kotlin 1.7 or something like that. So if you are still using Godot 4.2, then you might have to add this dependencies as well. So this you have to add, not might, you have to add this as well as this dependency, because we are making use of Kotlin coroutines. But for Godot 4.3 we don't need to add this dependency over here. So if you are using Godot 4.2.0 or 4.2.1 or 4.2.2, then you just like I have added all this dependency in double quotes, comma separated. You will have to add these two dependencies as well. Okay, but if you are using Godot 4.3.0 or higher, you don't have to worry about this. So firstly, we have added this Firebase bomb dependency. Now if you remember, I told you, like, while adding Firebase auth, we don't have to worry about the version number, right? But that is only for native Android projects. Given that we are exporting this to Godot still need to know the Firebase auth version number. Now how will you get this version number? So for that, you can go to this particular documentation. So I'll just copy it and I'll paste it over here. Now firstly, you will have to check what version of Firebase bomb you are using. Okay, bill of materials. So for me it is 33.1.2. that's what we added inside our libs.versions.toml file as well, right? So here you can see 33.1.2, and for that the authentication version is, where is it? So here you can see it is 23.0.0, right? So that's what I'm using over here. Suppose if you are using some older version of Firebase bomb, then you can select it from here, but mostly this shows the latest stable version. Okay, so next Firebase auth I have told you. Then we have to add this Android X credential dependency. So these are all part of credential manager. So we also have to add this bit of dependency. Then we have to add this Play Services auth as well, and then this Google Play Services. So whatever version you are using inside libs.versions.toml, make sure you use the same over here, otherwise you might get issues. Okay, in case if you forgot the libs.versions.toml, go to your Android folder and it is over here. So here we have added all these versions. Okay, so make sure you add those same versions over here as well. So this part is also done. Then go to Godot, create a folder called add-ons. Inside that, create a folder with your plugin name. Then inside that, create a folder called bin, and inside bin create two folders, debug and release. Then you will also have to open your terminal, then cd to the Android project. So this is my Android project, right? Cd to the Android project, not to this Android library. You will have to cd to your Android project, and then you will have to run this particular command /gradle assemble. So what this will do is it will create two AAR files. So once, this might take little bit of time to run, so be patient. Once that is done, you will have to go to your library, go to build, outputs, AR, and here you should see two AR files being generated. I have already cut pasted those files to my Godot project, that's why you are not seeing it over here, but you should see two AR files being generated, one for debug and one for release. In the name itself they specify debug and release, so you don't have to worry about it. Then come back to your Godot project, go to add-ons, go to plugin name, and here you will have to copy these two files which we created, export plugin.gd and plugin.cfg. So if you remember, we created these two files, just copy paste it. I have already copy pasted it. Then go to bin, inside debug you have to add the debug AR file from your Android project or your Android library, which I just shown you, and inside release you will have to add the release AR file. Now you will have to change the name again. So whatever is your plugin name, so your plugin name -debug.ar, so just change the name. Similarly for release, your plugin name -release.ar. okay, once that is done, go to Godot project, project settings, go to plugins, and here I have enabled this checkbox as well, so make sure you enable this checkbox. If you are not able to see your plugin, then you might have made some mistake inside export plugin.gd or plugin.cfg file. Also there was one more thing in Godot 4.2 and previous, like inside editor settings, we can set the all this path, the Android SDK path and this debug key path, but I am not able to find this in Godot 4.3.0. I think it is automatically picking up based on Android Studio, or maybe they might again change it in Godot 4.3.1, but at least in Godot 4.3.0 I am not able to see this. But yeah, it is running fine on my real device. Like I think it automatically picks up, or maybe it picked up from my Godot 4.2.0 configuration. I am not really sure. But if you are facing some issue while running your application, it might have to do with this debug key store not been found and this Android SDK not been found by Godot. So you might have to Google that. I'm not sure where that option is now. Okay, so I have shown you all this. Also I have enabled this Wi-Fi for remote debugging, so that I can easily run my application on through Wi-Fi. I don't have to connect via USB. If you are not able to figure it out, just export the APK and run the APK separately on your real device. This issue was part of Godot 4.2.2. I didn't face this issue in 4.3.0, but in case if you're facing it, you can just open this a particular issue as well. So I will so I'll have run my app, and I will quickly show you guys the output. Also, let's quickly see how to use this plugin inside your Godot code. So here you can see I have just created one scene with 2 buttons and 1 labels, and I have attached one script to it. Also for these buttons, I have attached this press signal inside our script. So if I just quickly open this script, here you can see firstly we are loading our plugin. So this name should be the same what you have used it on the Godot side, on the Android side, sorry. And here we are initializing our plugin. I am also initializing our, like, listening for our signal, and once the plugin is initialized, I am immediately calling the get user method. So if it is null, if no user has been logged out, you will get null. So again, you will have to do actions accordingly. And here if you want, on first button press I'm just clicking on sign in, on second button press I'm just clicking on logout, and here once we get the signal, I'm just updating our label. So now let's see the output. Also make sure you run this application once, so that your current your first scene has been fixed, like first scene has been so because Godot needs to know what your first scene is, right? So just click on this run button as well. Okay, sorry, I have just blurred the output, but here I have 2 buttons, login and logout, and if I click on login, I am able to see a modal being popped up from the bottom. And if I click on the sign in with Google option for any of the Google accounts which I have in my Android device, I'll just select one of those. And once the sign is successful, in the label you should be able to see the email, the UUID, as well as the username. Also, if you go to your Firebase console and just refresh this particular authentication tab, inside the user section you should be able to see your user being added as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.